Language Foundations Vocabulary Flashcards, helping you achieve understanding.
Show to a seat. Assign a seat for. The host seated me next to Mrs. Smith. Place ceremoniously or formally in an office or position. A space reserved for sitting, as in a theater or on a train or airplane. He booked their seats in advance. The fleshy part of the human body that you sit on. A center of authority, as a city from which authority is exercised. Any support where you can sit, especially the part of a chair or bench etc. on which you sit. He dusted off the seat before sitting down. A part of a machine that supports or guides another part. Be able to seat. The theater seats 2,000. Furniture that is designed for sitting on. There were not enough seats for all the guests. Place in or on a seat. The mother seated the toddler on the high chair. Place or attach firmly in or on a base. Seat the camera on the tripod. Provide with seats. Seat a concert hall. Put a seat on a chair. The cloth covering for the buttocks. The seat of his pants was worn through. The legal right to sit as a member in a legislative or similar body. He was elected to a seat in the Senate. The location, metaphorically speaking, where something is based. The brain is said to be the seat of reason. Work or act as a babysitter. I cannot babysit tonight, I have too much homework to do. Show to a seat. Assign a seat for. Be seated. Sit and travel on the back of animal, usually while controlling its motions. Be around, often idly or without specific purpose. Take a seat. Assume a posture as for artistic purposes. Be in session. When does the court of law sit? Be located or situated somewhere. The White House sits on Pennsylvania Avenue. Serve in a specific professional capacity. Show to a seat. Assign a seat for. Be seated. Take a seat. Place ceremoniously or formally in an office or position. There was a ceremony to induct the president of the Academy. Accept people into an exclusive society or group, usually with some right. Produce electric current by electrostatic or magnetic processes. Admit as a member. We were inducted into the Honor Society. Introduce or initiate. The young geisha was inducted into the ways of her profession. Provide with power and authority. Place ceremoniously or formally in an office or position. Make an investment. Give qualities or abilities to. Furnish with power or authority, of kings or emperors. A job in an organization. Assign a location to. A point located with respect to surface features of some region. This is a nice place for a picnic. Assign a rank or rating to. The particular portion of space occupied by something. He put the lamp back in its place. A particular situation. If you were in my place, what would you do? Assigned to a station. A space reserved for sitting, as in a theater or on a train or airplane. He sat in someone else's place. Recognize as being. Establish the identity of someone or something. Where you live at a particular time. Your place or mine. Identify the location or place of. Locate. Take a place in a competition, often followed by an ordinal. Put into a certain place or abstract location. A public square with room for pedestrians. Make an investment. Proper or designated social situation. He overstepped his place. A blank area. Any area set aside for a particular purpose. Who owns this place? Estimate. An item on a list or in a sequence. In the second place. Intend, something, to move towards a certain goal. The post or function properly or customarily occupied or served by another. Took his place. A general vicinity. He comes from a place near Chicago. An abstract mental location. He has a special place in my thoughts. Assigned to, a job or a home. Finish second or better in a horse or dog race. He bet $2 on number 6 to place. Place somebody in a particular situation or location. He was placed on probation. Proper or appropriate position or location. A woman's place is no longer in the kitchen. Sing a note with the correct pitch. The passage that is being read. He lost his place on the page. To arrange for. Place a phone call. Vulgar slang for anus. The fleshy part of the human body that you sit on. Slang for sexual intercourse. The fleshy part of the human body that you sit on. A pompous fool. Hardy and sure-footed animal, smaller and with longer ears than the horse. The side of an object that is opposite its front. The fleshy part of the human body that you sit on. Of timepieces. My watch is running behind. In debt. He fell behind with his mortgage payments. The fleshy part of the human body that you sit on. Having the lower score or lagging position in a contest. Behind by 2 points. Low-lying alluvial land near a river. A cargo ship. They did much of their overseas trade in foreign bottoms. The second half of an inning, while the home team is at bat. A depression forming the ground under a body of water. The lower side of anything. The fleshy part of the human body that you sit on. Come to understand. Provide with a bottom or a seat. Bottom the chairs. Situated at the bottom or lowest position. The bottom drawer. Strike the ground, as with a ship's bottom. The lowest part of anything. They started at the bottom of the hill. The lowest rank. Bottom member of the class. Ask for and get free. Be a parasite. person who does no work. A lazy bum. Be lazy or idle. Her son is just bumming around all day. A person who is deemed to be despicable or contemptible. Throw the bum out. A vagrant. He tried to help the really down and out bums. The fleshy part of the human body that you sit on. Of very poor quality, flimsy. The fleshy part of the human body that you sit on. A victim of ridicule or pranks. Lie adjacent to another or share a boundary. A joint made by fastening ends together without overlapping. Finely ground tobacco wrapped in paper, for smoking. Thick end of the handle. The fleshy part of the human body that you sit on. He deserves a good kick in the butt. To strike, thrust or shove against. He butted his sister out of the way. The small unused part of something, especially the end of a cigarette that is left after smoking. Sports equipment consisting of an object set up for a marksman or archer to aim at. A large cask, especially one holding a volume equivalent to 2 hogsheads or 126 gallons. Place end to end without overlapping. The frames must be butted at the joints. The part of a plant from which the roots spring or the part of a stalk or trunk nearest the roots. The fleshy part of the human body that you sit on. A buoy with a round bottom and conical top. A plumbing fixture for defecation and urination. A room or building equipped with one or more toilets. Terminate the employment of. Discharge from an office or position. The fleshy part of the human body that you sit on. Preserve in a can or tin. The quantity contained in a can. Airtight sealed metal container for food or drink or paint, etc. The fleshy part of the human body that you sit on. External female sex organs. In England, fanny is vulgar slang for female genitals. The fleshy part of the human body that you sit on. Are you going to sit on your fanny and do nothing? Lowest support of a structure. The fundamental assumptions from which something is begun or developed or calculated or explained. The fleshy part of the human body that you sit on. The fleshy part of the human body that you sit on. The part of an animal that corresponds to the human buttocks. The fleshy part of the human body that you sit on. The fleshy part of the human body that you sit on. The fleshy part of the human body that you sit on. Coming at a subsequent time or stage. The mood posterior to. A tooth situated at the back of the mouth. The fleshy part of the human body that you sit on. Located at or near or behind a part or near the end of a structure. The fleshy part of the human body that you sit on. Located in or toward the back or rear. The chair's rear legs. Rise up. The side of an object that is opposite its front. His room was toward the rear of the hotel. Cause to rise up. The side that goes last or is not normally seen. Construct, build, or erect. The fleshy part of the human body that you sit on. Stand up on the hind legs of quadrupeds. The horse reared in terror. The part of something that is furthest from the normal viewer. It was hidden in the rear of the store. Look after a child until it is an adult. The back of a military formation or procession. Infantrymen were in the rear. The fleshy part of the human body that you sit on. The part of an animal that corresponds to the human buttocks. The fleshy part of the human body that you sit on. Fleshy hindquarters, behind the loin and above the round. Of a stern or strict bearing or demeanor, forbidding in aspect. A stern face. Severe and unremitting in making demands. A stern disciplinarian. The rear part of a ship. United States concert violinist, born in Russia in 1920. Severely simple. Not to be placated or appeased or moved by entreaty. The stern demands of parenthood. The fleshy part of the human body that you sit on. A spy employed to follow someone and report their movements. The rear part of a ship. Go after with the intent to catch. Any projection that resembles the tail of an animal. The fleshy part of the human body that you sit on. The rear part of an aircraft. Remove or shorten the tail of an animal. The time of the last part of something. The tail of the storm. Remove the stalk of fruits or berries. The posterior part of the body of a vertebrate, especially when elongated and extending beyond the trunk or main part of the body. Usually plural, the reverse side of a coin that does not bear the representation of a person's head. Any projection that resembles the tail of an animal. The fleshy part of the human body that you sit on. The time of the last part of something.
Become our student and get access to effective and free educational materials. Subscribe to our YouTube channel to become a part of our growing YouTube community and to learn English effectively.